Hi, my name is Sari van Pooyen. I am the director of Intact Academy and the director of Agile Business Innovation. You can find me anywhere if you Google me. So if you look up www.intactacademy.com or www.agileinnovation.com, you can find what I do. Usually it's to do with change at the individual level, group or team or organizational level, in the hope that that way will create a better society for all of us. We're talking about the nature of conflict here. So last time I said conflict is where two people have different goals, but they're still linked. In some way, they're dependent. So in a sense, in a conflict, you're infinitely separate, but also at the same time inseparable, because you're different. You want different things, but still you need each other to achieve your goals. In a conflict, and that's really important to remember, the conflict is in the relationship, but the conflict is also in you. So one of the things that's really important to understand is that you're actually, in some ways, you're acting out whatever split you've got in yourself. That's the theory in any case. It's good to check, is this really a fight I'm having with this other person, or is it a fight I'm having with me? And then the other person is handy to have around. Usually it's your partner because that's why you chose them. Anyway, the other thing is that the path to resolution is really sometimes just making contact. It's just talking about, where are you at? Where am I at? Do we actually need each other to resolve this or not? There are different types of conflict. So and they're kind of in types of importance, I would say, because you can say there are conflicts about priorities, rules, and procedures. I call those instrumental conflicts, and they're, if you keep your head about they're pretty easy to resolve. I mean, you just go, what do you want? What do I want? Can we meet in the middle? Is there a different way of doing this? Maybe, and that's the best way to resolve the conflict, there's actually a third way, which is even better than my way or your way. I remember I used to sail with my family, and there used to be a little sign in the cabin saying, you can do it any way you like as long as you do it my way, the captain. And that's, to be truthful, that's really the way usually in business, in traditional kind of dominant leadership, people used to resolve conflicts. I don't think it's of this time anymore, because if we resolve conflicts that way, we'll never innovate, because there's always someone who's right and someone who's wrong. And that's not really the path to innovation. So that's why I said instrumental conflicts, take them seriously. Maybe you'll find a third way, which actually brings you somewhere else. The second level of conflict is really social emotional. It's about values, about trust, about relationships. So in Holland, we have a saying that goes, trust comes on foot and goes by horseback. And what we mean by that is that usually for most people, trust is slow to develop. But for some people, once you feel betrayed, it goes very quickly. It's really hard to recover. So trust and relationships are precious commodities in this world, where things are more fleeting perhaps, and we think we're mobile, but actually we're not. It's really important to keep your relationships healthy. And so social emotional conflict is important to pay attention to, because if you don't, what happens is you collect stamps. We call them stamps. So stamps are, you remember those little booklets we had in supermarkets where you had these stamps, and if you had enough stamps, you could get a towel or something like that. We do the same in social emotional conflict. If you don't express it and don't resolve it, people are starting to collect stamps. Some stamps are worth more than other stamps, 100-point gold stamp, and when their book is full, they actually hand in the relationship. So it's really important to figure out what's going on at the social emotional level. And in some ways, you could say, As one of my colleagues said, without a virus, you wouldn't have a vaccine. So in some ways, you could say any conflict, friction makes your relationship stronger, but only if you own your responsibility and what's your part in it and are willing to change who you are or what you do. So the last level of conflict is really conflict about power. And there it's about position and influence. I have to deal with a lot of those types of conflicts. I usually do executive coaching at the highest level. 90% of my clients are men in CEO position who are ambitious, of course. You have to be. You have to be a little bit narcissistic because you have to believe you're right, else it's really hard to run a company. Um, but you have to be anchored as well. And if you are really for positional power, again, it's easy to run a production or a volume company. It's very hard to run an innovation company where you have to actually empower other people and make sure that everybody has leadership in your company. So I don't know, types of conflict, instrumental, social, emotional power. The power one, I guess, is one of the things that we're dealing with most now. There's a lot of who's right, who's wrong going around nowadays. Just look at how the Trump campaign went, what's happening in Russia with Putin or Orban in Hungary. We really have a sense of people wanting to be right. And wanting to be right creates conflicts about power. And I'm not sure if I'm ever right. Are you? Ask yourself that question. Till next time.